When you go silent, here's what really happens. Script in Dr. Laura Berman's style. What really happens when you stop responding, when the typing bubbles vanish, and you're no longer checking if they come back. When love, once loud and constant, transforms into silence, yet not the kind that's empty. It's the kind that holds every word once spoken, every emotion once shared. Because here's the truth. The most powerful moment in any relations isn't the fight, or even the goodbye. It's the silence that follows when you're finally done. Not angry, not heartbroken, just done. And that kind of silence, it doesn't plead, it doesn't chase, it doesn't explain. It just exits quietly, completely allowing the absence to speak in ways words never could. The thing is, when you're always there, people stop hearing the music. They stop noticing the beauty of your presence, the morning check-ins, the late-night concern, the steady stream of connection. But when all of it goes silent, that's when the echo sets in. And it's not revenge. It's not a game. It's power. True emotional strength. Because emotional withdrawal isn't about punishing someone, it's about protecting yourself. It's not loud, not dramatic. It's like a controlled flame, burning a bridge so gently no one hears the spark. She thought you'd break. She assumed your world would unravel in her absence. But instead, you got still. Not because you didn't care, but because you finally did. About yourself. You realize that no matter how much love you give, you can't make someone see your worth. But you can take it with you, and when you leave with that quiet confidence, that's louder than any words you could have said. So don't go back to explain. Don't send a final message. Don't post something hoping she notices. Let her feel the weight of the silence. Let her sit with the space where you used to be. Let her wonder why that version of you is gone, and why he's never coming back. Now, if you're tired of being emotionally manipulated, if you're ready to stop handing your heart to people who only know how to hold it carelessly, then take your power back. Like this video, subscribe for more content that helps you grow, and comment below if this resonates. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can say is nothing. Let's talk about why silence is so misunderstood. She thought you'd chase her, that walking away would trigger panic, that you'd do what you always did. Follow, apologize, try harder. But silence broke the cycle. She wasn't looking for closure, she wanted control. And when she didn't get that power back, she lost something more valuable. Your energy. Because when someone treats your love like it's disposable, they assume it's renewable. They think they can always come back. Until one day they can (TC). Someone who depends on your attention begins to feel entitled to it. They confuse love with submission, thinking silence is weakness. But the truth is, stillness is strength. The man who doesn't chase isn't cold, he's centered. He's choosing peace over chaos, choosing himself over the cycle. You don't beg for what's leaving. You observe, you release, and you trust that what's meant to stay will never need chasing. She expected noise. Instead, she got quiet. And for someone who needs control, that quiet is deafening. Your calm becomes the loudest confrontation of all. Your silence reminds her she lost something she never thought would leave, so let her sit in it. Let her reflect. You owe no explanation, no performance, just presence, or now, the lack of it. Because healing doesn't always look like closure. Sometimes, it's just deciding to stop explaining your worth to people who refused to see it. Number 2. When you go quiet, they start to panic. The moment you stop responding, something subtle but powerful shifts. Not in the room, not in the air, in them. That silence they once claimed they needed, it suddenly becomes unbearable. Because they never truly wanted space, they wanted control. They wanted your silence to trigger a reaction, to make you doubt, reach out, unravel. But when you don't flinch, when you don't explain, chase, or even react, that's when the panic sets in. You see, most people aren't searching for connection, they're seeking emotional leverage. When you constantly respond, even at the cost of your peace, they feel powerful. They mistake your emotional investment for vulnerability. But emotional maturity teaches you something else: to master your reactions, to be still when others try to provoke chaos. And in that stillness, your power becomes undeniable. The attention they once ignored becomes the thing they quietly crave. They start checking their phone more often, rereading your old messages, wondering why you haven't reached out. That silence becomes a mirror reflecting what they lost. Not because you said goodbye, but because you stopped showing up. They didn't expect you to move on without warning. They didn't think you'd be okay without them. And when they feel that absence, it hits deeper than any argument could. Because silence forces people to face themselves, and sometimes that's the loudest reckoning of all. If she played games, if she pulled away just to test you, if she lied or created distance just to see how you'd react, then your silence isn't just quiet. It's a mirror. Every unanswered call, every ignored message, every unopened story, that's her conscience knocking. And you're no longer opening the door. Regret doesn't grow in closure. It grows in silence. Number 3. Emotions are powerful, but when we don't control them, they control us. In the hands of the wrong person, or even in our own unchecked reactions, emotions stop being tools and become weapons. She didn't have to shout to break you. She just had to stir the storm inside you. And once you're emotional, you're predictable. And when you're predictable, you're controllable. But stoicism isn't about being numb, it's about being disciplined. It's about holding your ground when every part of you wants to chase, yell, or beg. Most people don't fall apart because they're weak, they fall because no one ever taught them how to sit in the discomfort without reacting to it. She may have baited you, posted things to spark jealousy, said just enough to leave blanks for your imagination to fill with fear. That isn't random. That's psychological strategy, pulling you into emotional chaos where logic can't survive. But when you stay still, when you feel everything and still don't move, that's when the game ends. Because control isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about caring deeply and still not cracking. Your silence doesn't mean you're passive. It means you've chosen to respond with power instead of panic. You're no longer dancing to the rhythm of someone else's manipulation. You've stepped out of the game, and that's when the real healing begins. It's about standing in the fire and not screaming. That's the version of you she didn't expect. That's the man she can't manipulate. Because the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop dancing to the rhythm of emotional chaos, you stop being her puppet. Let her rage, let her cry, let her disappear and reappear. That's her pattern, not yours. You're still. You're unmoved. Because when you learn to control your emotions, you take back the outcome. She can't break what refuses to bend. She can't control a man who knows how to sit with discomfort without begging for relief. That's emotional maturity. That's power. Number 4. Her game was never love, it was control. It might have looked like love. It may have felt like love, but it wasn't. Real love doesn't leave you second-guessing your worth. It doesn't punish you for being silent. It doesn't twist your intentions or use your pain as leverage. What you were in wasn't a relationship. It was a power dynamic, and you didn't lose her. You lost a game you didn't even know you were playing, because you were leading with your heart while she was leading with strategy. And that's what most people miss. Not everyone is looking to connect. Some are looking to dominate, to control the narrative, to control you. They use affection like currency, intimacy like bait. One moment they're warm and inviting, the next cold, distant, impossible to read. And every shift, it's calculated, designed to keep you chasing, doubting, apologizing for things you didn't even do. That's not love. That's emotional manipulation. That's psychological warfare. And when you're inside of it, it feels confusing and chaotic. But step back, and it's crystal clear. The goal was never connection, it was control. Because what gives someone more control than knowing they can hurt you? And you'll still stay. Knowing they can walk away. And you'll follow. Knowing they can push your boundaries. And you'll keep lowering the bar just to keep them around. But the moment you see it for what it is, everything shifts. The fog lifts. You stop asking, why did she stop loving me? And start asking the real question, why was I trying so hard to prove my worth to someone who made me feel worthless? That question may sting, but it sets you free. Because once you realize the game was never love, you stop playing by her rules. You stop explaining. You stop chasing. You stop giving your energy to someone who only ever fed off the chase. And that's when the game ends. Not with revenge. Not with dramatic closure, with peace, with indifference. And that's what shatters the illusion when the player is ignored by the prize. Number 5. Let her sit with the echo. Asterisk. You don't need to slam the door. You don't need to send one final message or post something cryptic to make her think. You just need to be silent and stay silent, because the loudest thing she'll ever hear is the absence of your voice, where it used to be constant. Let her sit in the echo. She thought she could walk away and return whenever she felt like it. She expected open arms. She assumed you'd be waiting, hurt, confused, desperate to fix what she broke. But you didn't collapse. You didn't chase. You disappeared without a scene. You removed yourself from the game. And now, the silence speaks. She checks her phone, nothing. She posts a story hoping you'll watch. You don't. She reaches out to mutual friends fishing for evidence that you still care. But there's no response. And that's when the silence gets loud. Because in that stillness, she hears it all. Every manipulation, every lie, every time she acted like she was irreplaceable. And now, you've proven she's not. Because when a man with self-worth goes silent, it's not punishment. It's a boundary. And the echo she's left with, that's just the sound of consequences catching up. And now, she has to live with the truth. You were never hers to control. You just hadn't realized your worth yet. But once you did, you didn't shout it. You didn't post about it. You didn't perform your power. You simply vanished from her world like a ghost and left her haunted by how effortlessly you walked away. That's the secret. You don't need to fill the silence with explanations or anger or justification. Let the silence stand. Let it echo. Let her be the one who sits in the aftermath of her own choices with no comfort from you to soften the impact. Number 6. Stop explaining yourself to people who already understand. You're not misunderstood, you're disrespected. She knew what she was doing. She saw how it made you feel. She just didn't care because in that moment, your pain didn't cost her anything. And now, maybe you're tempted to send that final message. Just one more explanation. One more attempt to be understood. But ask yourself, why? She understood. She just didn't respect it. That's the trap. believing that closure is clarity, believing that the right combination of words will finally make her care. It won't, because this was never about not knowing, it was about choosing. She chose to cross your boundaries. She chose to ignore your emotions, and you chose to stay, hoping she'd finally get it. But she already did. She just didn't think you'd ever leave. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your standards. You're not a liar defending your worth. You're not on trial for how deeply you loved. You don't have to reopen your wounds just to prove they exist. You spoke. You showed up. You gave. That was your truth. That was enough. And if she couldn't honor it, then your silence now is the only response left. Let her sit with the weight of everything she took for granted, and let yourself rise, free from the need to explain your soul to someone who was never listening. At number 7, the more detached you are, the more powerful you become, because the moment you stop needing her is the moment she starts needing you. But detachment isn't coldness, it's control. It's the ability to love without losing yourself, to care without collapsing. It's not about pretending you're unaffected, it's about knowing that your peace matters more than their validation. She could feel it when you were still attached. The overthinking, the availability, the way your world bent around her moods. That kind of energy gets used not out of malice, but because predictable behavior is easy to manipulate. But when you detach, when you stop reacting to silence, drama, breadcrumbs, that's when the dynamic flips. She starts checking, wondering, replaying. Because detachment is the quiet power of a man who stays centered while the world tries to shake him. She expected to be chased. Instead, she's being ignored. She tried to provoke jealousy. Instead, you're unbothered. She assumed she was still the center of your story. But now, she's not even in the margins. And that quiet strength, that stillness, that becomes your most magnetic trait. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who validates his own worth. Detachment isn't giving up. It's leveling up. It's walking into every space with the quiet confidence of, I choose to be here, but I don't need to be. That kind of energy is rare. That kind of energy is powerful. That kind of energy is stoic. Number 8. Don't just move on. Level up. Moving on is what she expected. Leveling up is what she never saw coming. Anyone can block, unfollow, date someone new. That's surface. That's noise. But real growth, that's silent. That's when you quietly become everything she told herself you'd never be: stronger, smarter, focused, and completely out of reach. You don't get even by replacing her. You get even by replacing the version of you who tolerated her. The one who doubted himself. The one who bent over backward to prove he was enough. That man doesn't exist anymore. And in his place, someone wiser, sharper, unshakable. Someone who doesn't need to post his progress because his life shows it. Your heartbreak didn't break you, it refined you. So hit the gym. Hit the books. Hit your goals like your future depends on it, because it does. Every ounce of energy you once gave to someone who couldn't receive it, pour that into yourself and watch what happens. You begin building a life she no longer has access to, not because you're hiding, but because she's no longer qualified to walk beside the man you're becoming. The pain didn't destroy you, it revealed you, and now you're no longer focused on proving her wrong, just proving yourself right. Leveling up isn't revenge, it's revolution. It's becoming the version of yourself who never again asks, why wasn't I enough? Because now you know you are. You're not healing for her. You're evolving for you. Number 9. When she comes back, You won't be there. She always planned to come back. That was part of the unspoken contract one she wrote without your consent. In her version, she could disappear, explore distractions, chase attention, and you'd be exactly where she left. You, the constant, the safety net, the backup plan. But what she never considered was that one day, you'd truly be gone. Not halfway gone. Not posting cryptic messages, hoping she'd notice. Not watching her stories from the shadows. Gone, emotionally, unavailable, mentally untouchable, spiritually out of reach. Not bitter, not angry, just done. And that's when she'll return. When the thrill fades. When the other options prove hollow. When she realizes attention isn't the same as affection. She'll send the "Hey stranger" text that was just thinking about you message. It'll be subtle, soft, polished with nostalgia, but underneath it, it's the same game. She's checking for a crack in the door. But this time, she'll find nothing open. Because something did change you. You're not the man she left. The one who once clung to her words now doesn't even notice her reach. The man who once waited for her reply is now walking his own path. No longer hoping she'll catch up. Stoicism teaches us that freedom isn't just walking away. It's never looking back. So when she comes back, you won't be there not to hurt her, not to prove a point, but because that chapter has closed, and you've grown too far to reread a story that already ended. She'll realize too late that you weren't waiting, you were healing, and in your silence, she'll find the answer she didn't want to hear. Number 10. The final silence is the one that echoes forever. There's a kind of silence that doesn't just mark the end. It becomes the end. No goodbye, no breakdown, no dramatic moment. Just a quiet absence so complete it becomes eternal. She didn't expect that. She thought silence was just a pause, a waiting room, a cold front she could warm with a little charm, a message, a memory. But this silence, it's not a tactic. It's the truth. No response, no engagement, not even a grudge. Because the deepest form of detachment isn't hatred, it's indifference. The love she once took for granted, no longer hers to touch. The space you once gave her, now occupied by peace, by purpose, by self-respect. That version of you who needed to be understood by someone who wasn't listening, he's gone. And in his place stands a man who doesn't explain himself to the past. This is where Stoicism wins. You stopped engaging not to hurt her, but because there was simply nothing left to say. That silence, it's sacred now. It's your closure, it's your strength, it's your proof that you outgrew her chaos. Not only are you done, you're never coming back. She'll think about it longer than you ever will. She'll replay it in her mind while you're busy building something better. And every time she reaches for the memory of you, that silence will answer, cold, clear, permanent. So here you are, not broken, not bitter, just done. And that's the most dangerous version of you. Because you didn't lash out. You didn't beg to be seen. You didn't perform pain. You walked away quietly. Completely. Your silence isn't weakness, it's evolution. You've finally realized begging for love is beneath you. Explaining your worth is over. Because the man who walks away in peace is the one they never forget. You don't need revenge. You don't need validation. You don't need closure. You are the closure. Let her remember the sound of your silence. Let her sit with the ghost of the man she thought would never leave. And you keep building, you keep rising, you keep becoming someone so grounded, so powerful, so unreachable, that even your past can't recognize you. The silence is loudest when you're finally done. And you, my friend, are done. If you're finished begging to be seen, if you're ready to live like you finally get it, hit that like button. Subscribe to Stoicism. Turn on notifications so you never miss a message that reminds you who you really are. And in the comments, write, I don't return to what I had to heal from. Your silence is your power, own it.